Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about how to find lease option deals. Lease option deals are pretty sweet, but how do you find them? Well, by the end of this video, you'll know some of the top ways to find lease option deals that will help you maximize your investment opportunities and achieve success in this lucrative real estate strategy. Have you ever wondered how to secure a piece of property with little money up front and the potential to buy it down the road? Have you ever wondered how seasoned real estate investors find these deals? Well, we're going to dive into it by first explaining to you what a lease option is. Next, I'm going to explain to you how I'm finding these deals right now. And finally, I'm going to share with you a couple of cool strategies I'm doing with lease options. If you're ready, let's go. So essentially, a lease option is a rent-to-own strategy, and it gives that renter the opportunity to buy that home at a certain date down the road at a certain price that is agreed upon from day one. I'm sure you've heard in the stock market, you've heard about stock options, right? A stock option gives you the right to buy a stock at a certain price at a certain date down the road. And let's say that you had the option to buy a stock at $30, that maybe it's at $27, and you want to buy that 6 months down the road at $30. And let's say it goes to $40, you have the opportunity and right 6 months down the road to buy that stock at $30. So if you exercise that option and you buy the stock at $30, you could turn around the very next day and sell it for $40, right? And a lease option works the same way, where you pay a price up front for the right to buy that home at a certain price down the road, and it's locked in. And when 2 years down the road, let's say that's the term, you exercise and you buy the home, could the price of the home be more than what you've negotiated for from the get-go? Absolutely. Could it be less? It could be less, but with real estate, typically we're seeing prices continue to go up. However, there are some important components when it comes to lease options. Let's go into those really quick. Number one, you have the lease. And just like any rental agreement, it outlines the price, the responsibility as landlord and tenant, and typically the duration or how long the lease is for. However, one interesting thing about lease options is the tenant is planning to buy this home at a date down the road. So it also needs to be negotiated within there is the price and how long that duration is when they'll actually exercise that option to buy it at that price. It might be 1 year or 2 years down the road. I've always seen that the sweet spot is about 2 years down the road. Also with lease options, there is negotiated within the rental price every single month a percentage or an amount of that rental price paid every single month by the renter that will be counted towards their down payment. So let's say that the rental price is $2,500, but you're allowing $200 of that $2,500 to go towards their down payment once they exercise and buy the home. If you did it for 2 years, 200 times 24 months, which is 2 years, is gonna be $4,800 that the buyer and renter can then utilize going towards their down payment. Now, another component of a lease option is the option price. Remember, they've gotta pay you something up front for the right to buy that home at a certain date down the road at a certain price. And typically, an option price is 2 to 7% of the purchase price. So let's say you got a home that's $300,000, and if they were at the low end of that, 2% of $3,000 is $6,000. But once again, that $6,000 can go towards their down payment. So if they go 2 years and they exercise their option to buy the home at that $300,000 mark, they're going to utilize that option money they paid up front, $6,000, plus the $4,800 from the rents they've been paying over 2 years to count towards their down payment, which is just over $10,000. And if they're able to get a good loan and maybe a 3% down, their down payment's covered. If it's more than that, they'll have to come up with a little bit more money to execute and exercise their right to purchase that home. But here's one thing to note. If you are the renter on a rent-to-own or lease option scenario, this is important to understand, that if you do not exercise your right and you don't purchase that home at the end of the lease, you lose that option money. That money will go to the seller because that's what they receive for allowing you to lock up the right to buy their home 2 years down the road. And if you don't exercise it, they keep the option money. So as a real estate investor, a lease option is a great tool, especially if you're trying to sell your home, because the challenge might be that the market, there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines that don't want to buy a home right now, but they'd be interested in doing it 2 years or 3 years down the road. Or you're helping a buyer out because they don't have the financial backing yet, the history. Maybe they own their own business. Maybe they don't have enough money for a down payment, but over the course of 2 years in their new job, in their new area, that they would have the income and the proof to show a bank that they could buy a home. So now that we understand components, what a lease option is, I'm going to talk to you about how I'm finding them right now. I'm actually looking in the Midwest And I'm utilizing a couple strategies that I'll explain to you here shortly, but I'm actually utilizing realtors. I'm looking for homes that are in a certain price range. So I've got a realtor that sends me every single day, typically, homes that come out on the market that fit the criteria I'm looking for. And I'm looking for homes that are below $100,000. And typically the sweet spot I'm looking for is between $50,000 to $70,000 is what I'm looking to buy them at. Now, I'm looking at these homes and I need to buy them well below what they're asking. So I'm typically putting offers on 10 to 15 properties and maybe getting one of them accepted, maybe two of them at the very most. So as you can see, I'm putting a lot of offers out there, but if something's listed at $70,000, I'm really trying to get it at $50,000 to $55,000. And I need to get them at a low price, which you'll understand when I explain the strategy to you here in a minute. Another way that I'm finding lease option deals is off-market software that allows me to find properties that aren't on the market, right? And it costs money every single month, but it is worth the price that you pay because you're able to find some gems out there. And the software that I really like is something called RealFlow. Now you can filter it to help you find properties that are in pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, maybe they have an absentee owner. You can find ones that have a lot of equity, ones that would be great for a rental market, or ones that would be great for a wholesale. But off-market software is also vital to help find these lease option deals. And finally, another way I'm finding them is being part of Facebook groups. I'm always seeing properties and I join a ton of real estate Facebook groups, especially in the rental market or lease options. And I'll see deals pop up all the time where people will be like, listen, I got this property that I'm looking to sell, and I might go in and ask some questions about it. And I've actually bought a piece of property, actually two pieces of property, because of these Facebook groups I'm a part of, where I saw a property I liked, and I was able to utilize that property for a lease option deal. Now that we have them, we know how to find them, let's talk strategies. Now there's a couple of strategies. One is called a slow flip, and it's an awesome strategy, but the one I'm utilizing specifically for lease options is a strategy called cash flow flipping. So just from the name, you'll understand that I'm looking to flip this property, right? So as I mentioned, I am looking for properties in the Midwest that are between $50,000 to $70,000. I'm getting them 20 to 30% below what they're asking for the property. Now, once I have that property, I'm getting a private money lender that's going to loan me money anywhere between 8 to 12%, and a lot of times will fall at 10%. And especially on this deal, I can actually pay a little bit more because I'm utilizing a lease option strategy in this cash flow flipping strategy that I really enjoy. And this is how it works. So I get the money from a private money lender. Let's just say, to make the math easy, I'm getting a home for $50,000 that was listed at $70,000. Now I pay for that home with cash from the private money lender. And I'm going to pay interest only to that private money lender. So let's say he's even at the very high end of 12%. 12% of $50,000 over the course of a year is $6,000. So that's $500 a month I'm paying them. And the reason the private money lender is going to do this is because I just got a property that was $70,000 for $50,000. So his entire investment is secured in that property. He's in first position. So I'm paying the private money lender $500 a month. I then turn around, I go back to my realtor friend, or I go on Facebook. Then I go and I say, I have this property that I'm listing for $70,000. And I'm looking for somebody that wants to come in and buy this piece of property. So they come in, they buy this piece of property. I sold it to them for $70,000, but they don't have to close on it for 2 years from now. So we have the option in place where they can buy that property from me at a certain price, $70,000, 2 years down the road. And because of that, they owe me some option money, right, to be able to do that. And it's 2 to 7%. But let's just say I charge them, say, maybe $1,500. So $1,500 they give me upfront. I keep that money. That could pay for 3 months of my payment to my private money lender. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to charge them a rental price every single month, but I'm going to count a certain amount of the rental that they pay me every single month towards their down payment. So this is a strategy that works good for somebody that might be in a situation where they can't get a traditional loan themselves. So let's say I'm charging them $900 to rent this property from me. And $100 of that every single month, I'm gonna count towards their down payment. And that $900 they're paying me every single month in rent is paying my $500 to my private money lender. I'm taking $100 of that to count toward their eventual down payment. So $100 times 24 months is $2,400. Plus they gave me $1,500 up front for the option. At the end of the term, they now have close to $4,000, $3,900 to utilize towards their down payment. And let's say they execute on that and I get that money minus the $4,000, they pay me $70,000 minus the $4,000 that I already received over the course of rents and an option money. So I received $66,000. I take that $66,000, I pay off my private money lender, and I give him his $50,000, I pocket $16,000. And the money I'm paying him every single month, I'm utilizing from that rent, and that doesn't even account for the $300 margin I'm making on what I pay my private money lender, and the difference between the 900 minus the 100 that's going towards the down payment, but I'm netting 800 and I'm keeping $300 a month. So I'm making a really good profit on this strategy utilizing a lease option strategy. So these are some ways I'm utilizing lease options. This is how I'm finding those deals, but I'd be interested in your feedback. So please comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, just for stopping by and watching this video, I have a free gift for you. Click on the link below, aaronsfreetraining.com. It's a short-term rental calculator where you put in all of the input, the price of the home, the income, the expenses, and it'll spit out to you whether it's a good deal or not, and it's 100% free, no questions asked. Just click on that link, aaronsfreetraining.com. Once again, I appreciate you stopping by. Have an amazing day.